Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle with.
Bruce Prichard.
Bruce Prichard.
Well, you know.
That's not a rib.
So let's talk a little bit about the pivot you guys are going to have. This is the biggest win in Bradshaw's career up to this point. It's near the end of the run for Vader, but it does feel like you're giving him a win and it's on pay-per-view. So maybe you want to do something with him, but you've had him shave, you've had him cut his hair. It feels like you're grabbing at straws for something for him. And then somewhere out of nowhere, November of 98, Bradshaw and Farooq start to team up as the Acolytes. How does that come to be? How do we go from this to the Acolytes?
Well, John and Farooq were good friends, Ron Simmons, and two big bastards. Undertaker was forming the Ministry of Darkness and was thinking about having two big bodyguards in there, two big guys to do the bidding. And if they were a part of the Ministry of Darkness as a tag team to represent, it was faction time during that time. So the bigger and the better guys that you could have and the more of them, then the better. So they were friends, and it also, it helped that they had good chemistry and they did have a story by being a part of the ministry during that time. That was the reason behind it. And I'll say, you mentioned cutting his hair, and this was during a time that JR went on a kick about, goddamn, everybody, you want to be a wrestler, got to have long hair, and all this shit. And so JR that was his advice to everybody. Hey, goddamn, you want to get over, change your look, cut your hair. Which is good advice sometimes. But sometimes it's not that fucking good. You can't grow your hair back overnight. You can cut it immediately. You can cut that shit and be done with it and gone, but it doesn't grow back overnight. So let's have a plan first before the guy just completely changes his fucking look. And that's what John had done. John, was told to get a haircut, unbeknownst to anybody else, really. But the Acolytes putting him in the team, that was something that Taker wanted to do. And John and Ron were good friends, and they made a hell of a team.
Yes, they did. I assume that's a Vince Russo pairing. Vince Russo drew up the Acolytes.
It was actually an Undertaker pairing, but Vince Russo had been working with the Ministry of Darkness. That was something Taker wanted to do. Yes.
They started off being,
so that's under Russo's watch. Definitely.
They started off being managed by the Jackal, but that doesn't last too long. Why didn't the Jackal work out as a manager for the Acolytes?
They didn't like him, and they didn't need him because, again,
I want to be clear. Are you saying that Simmons and Layfield went to management and said, we don't want this fucking guy?
They didn't feel they needed him, and they knew that the idea was to go to the Ministry of Darkness, and they didn't feel that the Jackal, that character, worked in the Ministry of Darkness. So why put him with a mouthpiece now when they didn't need a mouthpiece, when they're going to be joining the Ministry of Darkness? That was the whole thing behind it. They didn't like it. It was like, you're putting us here with him now when we've got to get over there with the dead man. It just didn't make a lot of sense.
So talk to me a little bit about the symbols on their chest.
You tell me. I don't know what the fuck they were. I don't think they knew what they were.
Who came up with the idea? Hey, this is what we should do.
I think that was Taker as well. It was like, hey, you paint some shit on you and kind of change it up a little bit. But I don't know if that was supposed to be just some dark, underworld symbols or what the hell they were. But it was always funny because like I said, I don't think that John and Ron knew what the hell they were painting.
Well, here's the deal. In my research, I found out that it was occult symbols, and it's like, words I can't pronounce, being a hillbilly Baptist, I don't know, but it's like Necronomicon or some shit. Either way, it's an interesting time. It's the Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness, whatever. They start getting wins, which is what's important. all of a sudden Bradshaw sees himself getting W's left and right over teams like Godfather and Val Venus, the DOA, the Hardys. And then once they're put into the Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness, it's not too long before they're turned into the corporate ministry. Armageddon, December 12th, 1999. The Acolytes win an 8-team battle royal or a tag title shot at the Royal Rumble. This is his best year. 1999 has to be his best year in the company. And it comes being a tag partner with Farooq. You know, at this point he's been saddled with a couple of different partners. Of course, Dutch Mantell, even though they didn't wrestle a ton together, he's with him all the time. And then with Barry Windham, and now we're trying it again with Ron Simmons. Why did it work better with Ron than anybody else?
Chemistry, probably. And I think that John had chemistry with Dutch Mantell too, but it was a different type of chemistry. Ron and John traveled together. They hung together. They did everything together. They trained together. So there was some really, really good chemistry there. It was an opportunity for Ron to get rejuvenated with a young partner, and it was an opportunity for Bradshaw to have credibility with the seasoned partner of Ron Simmons. Sometimes, man, you just put them together and you've got magic. In this instance, you had magic where they weren't putting on. They just were who they were, and it wasn't a stretch gimmick where they had to portray somebody else.
Let's keep it moving here. Bradshaw's going to get his first world title win. And this is a pretty cool thing. It's May 25th, 1999. They're going to get a win over Xpac and Kaine, and they become tag team champions. Ron's been every kind of champion there was, but this is really the first taste of championship gold in the WWF. Does Bradshaw give a shit one way or another?
I think that they look at it as it's a good moment because it shows that we're doing something with you and moving on. So it's good to be in a story. You know, championships don't mean as much as long as you're in a story. If the championship is a story, even better.
They eventually lose those titles on July 5th on Raw to the Hardy Boys. Let's fast forward to Fully Loaded, July 25th, 1999. Farooq and Bradshaw regain the tag titles when they beat Matt and Jeff Hardy, who were also teaming with Mr. Dude himself, Michael P.S. Hayes. It's going to be a 2-on-3 match. And then, of course, the finish, you can guess, sees Michael Hayes take a double team power bomb and then get pinned, costing his team the tag titles. And this is the second time the Acolytes are the tag champs. We recently talked about this on the Michael Hayes show. Michael Hayes in the same ring with Justin Hawk Bradshaw. That's kind of fun.
Dude. It was. And again, they're all working together, but, I think this was Michael's last time in the ring for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. After this, the Acolytes are defending the title successfully in a bunch of triple threat matches against the Hardys, Edge, and Christian. On August 9th, they lose the tag titles back to Xpac and Kaine. And that sets up SummerSlam 99, where we get Farooq and Bradshaw beating Edge and Christian. There you go. Star in 3/4. Kind of interesting because I don't really associate those teams as being in the same era, but yet there they are. Next up, we've got Xpac winning the Four Corners elimination match over Kaine, Farooq, and Bradshaw. That happened at the No Mercy 99 pay-per-view. And the finish is something that kind of got shit on in the Observer. Quote, Farooq came off the top ropes for a shoulder block, but Xpac caught him with the X Factor for the pin. And the finish was mistimed badly enough that the crowd was flat for it. After all the months building to the finish where Xpac could finally pin a big guy, the crowd couldn't have cared less when he did so. Star and a quarter. What do you remember about Xpac here finally getting a win over big guy and it's just falling flat?
Sometimes it does. I mean, the best laid plans. And if there's one little thing off and the audience is taken out of the moment, that all the work that you did before can get lost in that one situation. But that happens. That's the business. And unfortunately, it can even happen with the best of them. So Xpac kind of got stuck with that, and it unfortunately is what it is.